Hello, this video is going to step you through writing your first programming assignment in our Java class. And it is Program 1, Hello World from the text editor. Before you get started on that, you need to make sure that you have Java correctly installed. In our Week 1 module, you'll see that I have posted Java software installation right here. We're going to write a little bit of code and we're going to write it in a text editor. You could just use Notepad. My preferred text editor is Notepad++. If you're in a Mac, it'll be a different text editor. I believe it might be called BEdit or TextEdit. So I'm going to start my Notepad++ app. I've already got some Java programs here, and I'm going to start a new app. So download Notepad++ if you like. It's got some color coding features that you might appreciate. You may have used Notepad++ to make your HTML or CSS. So if you go to Language and J for Java, we are now telling Notepad++ that what we're going to do is code in Java. And as you can see, it says here, Java source code file. So now it will help color code for us our source code. I've now jumped into Chapter 2, Section 1 of the text, and we're seeing here a very simple Hello World Java program. By the way, Hello World is usually the first program you write in any new programming language you're learning, so you get the basics of the syntax, etc., without thinking about the complexity of logic and algorithms. Let me explain a few things here. These line numbers you do not have to type. So the code actually begins here. What you see in green are called comments. You may have used comments before. They are not executable code. They are a part of the source code for other coders that are looking at your source code to read. So I would like you to include comments in even this first application that you're going to write, and I'll show you what to do. But you'll notice that these comments, to become a comment, start with 2 slashes. So those 2 slashes means everything after this is a comment. When it's time for the compiler to compile, it's going to ignore line 1, line 2, line 5, what's after line 8, because notice the comment comes after the curly bracket, and what's after the curly bracket in line 9. So the first executable line here starts with public class welcome. A class is a unit of code that is the basic building block of Java program. You will be getting in more depth on what classes are near the end of the semester, but for right now what you need to know is that classes are what your Java program will be stored in. The basic format then is going to be the class declaration like you see on line 4. Notice you have what's called an opening curly brace at the end of this class declaration. And way down here, as the comment tells me, this is a closing curly brace. It's going to match up. So I know you've done parentheses to organize expressions in algebra. Very similar. You have to make sure you line up your curly braces correctly when you're coding Java. If you don't, you may have a syntax error. After the class declaration and the curly braces that are opening and closing, nested inside, line 5 is a comment, but line 6 is a method. So the general structure for a Java program will be a class and then method, method, method. How many methods you need is how many methods you'll write. In this very simple example, you just have the one method. Let's go ahead and define what is a method. A method is a program unit. It is meant to do one particular action or one particular computation. Simple methods are like verbs. They command the computer to perform some action inside the curly braces for a class. But at the minimum, every Java class must have a method called main. And we have it right there. There is our main method. let's go ahead and take a look at the syntax of the main method. Line 6 is the method header, and just like the Java class, everything that you're going to write in this method are going to go inside a pair of curly braces. The opening curly brace right after the method header, and the closing is here on line 8, followed by a comment that lets you know we're done with the method main. Looking at the content of the main method header, public, static, void, main, parenthesis says string, followed by 2 square brackets, followed by args and closing parenthesis. Looks like a bunch of nonsense. For right now, just memorize it or copy and paste it. We will be going into details pretty soon on what each one of these means, but every main method must begin with this. So it's very easy to just copy and paste it. Other methods do not necessarily follow this format. So as we get to writing other methods, you'll get a better understanding of what needs to go in the method header. Inside the method, we now have statements. Each statement, you will notice, is an instruction for the computer to carry out, and each statement ends with a semicolon. This particular statement means print out on the screen. System.out.println in parentheses. You're going to put down the characters you wanted to print out inside a pair of double quotes. In summary, for week 1, what do you need to know? That a Java program is stored in a class. Within class, there are methods, and you must have at a minimum for a complete program a special method called main. Like main, inside any method, there are 1 or more statements, and each statement is a command for the computer to execute.